We have new numbers regarding how much gold central banks are buying for 100 tons in Q3 this year, records and numbers we haven't seen since the 80s yet. We don't know some of those mystery buyers. Obviously, the theories are that they are Russia and China. I'm curious to get your thoughts on central bank record buying of gold here, and how Russia and China fit into this puzzle here. Now, China's non-transparent, Russia is much more transparent. Although Russia is starting to be opaque a little bit because they are in a war, but you can see the inflection point is 2010. So from 1970 to 2010, so long stretch, 40 years, central banks were net sellers. It didn't mean everybody sold everything, but Switzerland down 1,000 times was down 2,000 tons after losing, 8,000 tons 11,000 tons between 1950 and 1970. It was down 2010 was the year the central banks became net buyers. Now, it doesn't mean every central bank was buying gold. It does mean that they were selling a lot less and others were buying more, as some of the buyers are Mexico, Kazakhstan, Philippines, Vietnam. We know China's big buyer. We don't know exactly how much Russia was as a big buyer. That is continuing now. The new players, Iran is non-transparent, but we know they are buying gold. Turkey is buying a lot of gold. Japan had a bunch of gold all along. They never told anybody about literally 1 month their reserves went from 600 tons to 900 tons. Well, the market, you can't buy 300 tons in a month now. Not one country, one order, but they had to all along. But they decided to reveal it, put it on their balance sheet. So Americans don't seem to like gold. I'm not sure Canadians feel much differently or other around the world, but central banks sure do, and I think that tells you something. Inflation, yeah, prices go up. So we understand that, or maybe put differently, the value of your money goes down. You don't get as much for your money. Same thing, but inflation is broadly. Speaking as to cause one is called cost push. This comes from the supply side. So there's shortage of oil out there, and we've got a financial and economic war going on between Russia and the United States. Usually start at the US, Canada, Australia, Japan versus Russia. It's obviously disrupting supply China, cutting down energy supply because of the price of oil, etc. So that's coming from the supply side. Other sources is demand. What's called demand pull inflation, which is more psychological. Consumers are thinking about choices and they say, I was thinking about buying a refrigerator. I was going to wait 6 months, but hey, the price is going up. I better go buy it now before the price goes up. In the 1970s, we had both. We started with cost push from the Arab oil embargo, but it flipped into the demand pull in the late 70s, and it just spun out of control, and Paul Volcker had to crush it. Today, the inflation is coming from the supply side. Some of the things we talked about, higher fuel costs. Everything has to be transported, so fuel is part of everything. It gets built into the price of everything. And there are other shortages and bottlenecks and, costs that have to be taken up by manufacturers and distributors. The Fed can't go for oil. The Fed can't make semiconductors. So they can't do anything about this, and the supply chains are breaking down. They were breaking down before the war in Ukraine. But Ukraine has made it worse. The Fed can't do anything about cost push. They can't do anything about the price of oil, but they are looking at the demand side. Saying, hey, if this supply thing goes on long enough, eventually the psychology will change. And we'll get demand for and behavioral, and that is really hard to change. So what they are trying to do, they know they can't change the supply side, but they're trying to squash the demand side before it gets out of control. And this is the thing that the market's investors are not ready for, that inflation is going to come down fast. There's even some danger of deflation and a major recession in 2023. And no one's ready for that. I mean, people talk about recession, but it's going to be worse than they think. And then they ramp up the printing press again, Joe. Yes, but it doesn't work, you know. $9 trillion of QE didn't do any good. I mean, how does the Fed do QE? They buy bonds. Some banks give the money to the banks. The banks give it back to the Fed as experts through service. What does that do for the economy? Nothing. Zero rates, you know. Again, it doesn't work. They don't have the tools. They are preparing for what we're talking about, which is a world where the dollar as a reserve currency will not be deposed overnight, but as a payment currency is definitely a reserve currency and a payment currency. Anything can be a payment currency. If I want to pay you with baseball cards and bottle caps and you're okay with that, and this it's a currency, so when we see the BRICS plus the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, OPEC, plus China individually, all these countries of the Euro, the Eurasian European Economic Union, which is, you know, Putin's answer to the EU. All of these organizations are working on new payment systems right now. And they are going to start to roll them out this year and later, so that's going to be a radical change in how we pay for things that when the price goes up. I would say that what's really happening is the dollar is going down. In other words, I think of gold by weight. I'm interested. You know, do you have it tons? Do you have 50 kilos? Do you have 5 ounces? Whatever you have as an individual investor, as a bank. I think of it by weight because some are set. Gold's really going up, I said. Well, no. The dollar is going down. You need more dollars to purchase a fixed quantity of gold, which means the dollar's worth less. And when people say that gold's really going down, the dollar's worth more, and you need fewer dollars to purchase a quantity of gold, you know. When people talk about price, the first thing they do is they are really talking about dollars, you know. There's a euro price for gold, but the world market is based on dollars. You're privileging the dollars, the numerator, your counting system. You know, is it yards, inches, feet, whatever? And if you put the dollar first and gold is in dollars, it's going up or down. I think you have it backwards. I think you need to put gold first by weight, and then if it's worth more. The dollar is going down if it's worthless. The dollar is going up. Well, in 1914, when World War I started, all the major powers went off the gold standard. They said, we got to keep our gold, this is real money. So we're going to win the war. And the Bank of England was faced, and the Exchequer was faced with same choice games. Was an advisor to the Exchequer, said, don't go off the gold standard. Stay on the gold standard, and the reason was that if you did that, you would preserve your reputation and preserve your credit. He said the war is not going to be won with money or gold, it's going to be won with credit, but if you stay on the gold standard, you'll have the credit, and that's exactly what happened. Pierpont Morgan, nay sorry. Jack Morgan Pierpont's unorganized huge loans for England, France, and nothing for Germany, and England won the war, so the point is Keynes got that right. Thank you for watching this documentary. We hope you found it insightful and informative. We believe that through the power of storytelling, we can shed light on important issues and inspire change. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and share it with your friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We have more documentaries coming your way, and we would love for you to be a part of our community. We want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this documentary, and what other topics you would like us to cover in the future. Thank you again for your support, and we'll see you in the next video.